We have a single cask showdown from one of Ireland's leading cigar and whiskey shops. Let's drink some whiskey. Welcome to Whiskey and Whiskey. I am the Whiskey Chaser Brian, and on this channel I review Irish whiskey without giving it an actual score, and we are coming from the very cool Christy's bar in Kilkenny that has one of the best whiskey collections in the country. On today's show, as I said, something a little bit different, something a little bit special. We're not comparing these two whiskeys, but they are single casks from the same shop. And now this is James J. Fox's in Grafton Street in Dublin. Whiskey and cigar enthusiast sellers since 1881. They've been through 5 generations of family ownership through the same shop in the same place in Dublin for the last 140 years. Single cask releases are nothing new in Ireland. However, these two in particular hold a little something extra, a little something special. We have the Fercullen 13-year-old single grain, and we have the Midleton Very Rare single cask 22-year-old single pot still. Why are these a big deal? It's simple, they're rare. The Midleton Very Rare stuff, when you get to the single casks, are incredibly collectible and very, very low numbers. I think there was only 162 bottles of this released. This is not being opened. It retailed for, when it first came out, around the €750 mark-ish. Now, that is, I can't remember exactly what it was, so if I was wrong, leave a comment down below and let me know what it was. But when you bought it on first release, they sent you a little sample, which was very thoughtful because you get to try it, which is huge. Not many samples are given out with the Middleton single casks. They are huge money, and some people don't open them. Like I said, 162 bottles is very rare. Jump across then, we have the Fercullen 13-year-old single grain. Now, Fercullen is, of course, Powerscourt distillery. I recently did a video on that. You might want to check that out on their 18-year-old 5 elements. Why is this a big deal? Well, it's the first commercial single cask that Fercullen have produced, and it was hand selected by master distiller Noel Sweeney. Now, Noel Sweeney, if you don't know, is a distilling legend in Ireland, a master distiller from Cooley Distillery. He's been distilling since the late 70s. He was with Cooley Distillery for 27 years and now is over in Powerscourt. So this was distilled by him back in, I believe it was 2006, and it was, as I said, the first commercial single cask release from Fercullen. Aged in ex-bourbon casks, 246 bottles at roughly about €140. The ABV on this one is 57.1%, which is strong. This is a cask strength. We're gonna try this one first. I'm gonna actually get both of them into the glass and not try and spill them. We'll get the Midleton Very Rare into the glass. By the way, there's actually a really good video on YouTube that Irish Whiskey Magazine has done with the guys from James Fox's and the guys from Midleton Distillery on this single cask release. It's worth a watch. It is quite good. They go into a lot of detail and kind of behind the scenes stuff that you wouldn't really know about, that they don't really talk much about when it comes to releasing this out into the wild. The Fercullen 13, why is this a big deal? As I said, first commercial single cask release, 13-year-old single grain. Anybody who knows me kind of knows that I find single grain to be a bit boring, if I'm honest. And I put that down to myself, not really putting myself out there and trying many different age statement single grain whiskeys. I am kind of looking forward to this. I've heard that this is amazing. I'm confident that it is. Let's have a little nose. Ooh, okay. So that's different. I'm actually getting a lovely floral kind of nose to it, which develops into a bit of honey and caramel and a tiny bit of like an oaky, spicy kind of base to it. Now, you have to fight through the floral and kind of vanilla. It's more vanilla than it is kind of caramelly, but that's the ex-bourbon, so you're gonna get noses like that. What I'm surprised with is the kind of florally character to this. It smells really good. The nose is really good. It's really polite. It's, you know, it's not aggressive. It's approachable. It really wants me to drink it, so let's launch it. Ooh, wow. Wow. The first thing that surprises me about this whiskey is the amount of spice that it has. Not overpowering, but right on the, for me, the edge of that's enough. I don't think I'd like any more spice than that, but it's a lovely citrusy fruit base to it. Very mouth-watering. Oh, that was really good. When I'm saying citrusy, I'm kind of talking about a little bit of orange in it, kind of a leathery, oaky finish, smooth, That's really nice the way there's a lovely bit of hang time on that. Still giving me, it's not bitter, it's not dry, the mouth is still flavorsome, or still salivating. Nice, oaky, spicy, sweet finish. Still going, still have it there. 57.1% ABV. You could try a drop of water into it if you wanted to, and maybe see how that kind of, that works out for you. I don't want to drop, I particularly don't want to do, I'll drop a little bit of water into it. Let me see. Now, last time I put water into something like that, it was a disaster. Okay, so I've let the water seep into it a good bit. I've given it a good stir around. Now the floral notes are gone, and I'm getting predominantly a light vanilla, but mostly just kind of oak through it. A lot of wood. Not unpleasant, obviously, but let's try a little. Spice tapered way down. Still getting those vanilla, but now it's kind of more wooded tannin notes coming through on it. It's good. I don't like putting water into my whiskey. It's just something I don't normally do. I wouldn't normally do it at home. I rarely try it if I'm trying whiskey for the first time. It's not really my thing. I would drink that now happily without water. But it is, like I said at the start, that borderline too much spice for me. I probably only have a glass or two. Now, you would get a lot out of that. I think in terms of pulling it apart flavor-wise, pulling it apart on the nose, it delivers, certainly. Absolutely, it is delicious. Ticks all the boxes. I wouldn't go too many glasses of it, one or two, and put it aside. Plus, after that, you know, your nose and your palate is shot after nosing whiskey. I mean, especially at cask strength, you know, the olfactory senses and all that kind of stuff just tend to die on you. It's no good. You're not doing any favors to yourself at that. But yeah, pleasantly surprised because of a single grain. No, I found that incredibly decadent, you know, complex, full-bodied, well-balanced, it's really good for €140 single grain, 13-year-old single cask from James J. Fox's. That's got my thumbs up. All right, so next up is the Middleton 1998 single cask, single pot still. So whereas this was a single grain, this was a single pot still. Now this was laid down in April 1998, okay? Aged in first fill ex-bourbon casks, hand selected by then master distiller Brian Nation, who has now left. Kevin O'Gorman is now the master distiller there, and the folks at James J. Fox's. Aged for 22 years, and it has come out at a lovely whopping 54.9% ABV. Extremely rare, 162 bottles, now retailing for €995. As I said at the start, when it was initially released, there was a deal on it for about €750-ish, and you got a sample of it so you could try it. Highly collectible. The interesting thing about this, it was, you know, laid down in April of 1998. It was the same year that Kevin O'Gorman, who is now the master distiller, started working at Middleton. He did say that he was responsible for helping distill this back in 1998. So pretty interesting times when you think about it. Like now he's the master distiller in Middleton, and Brian Nation is gone. So he was giving the speech about this. I'm looking forward to trying this. This is my first Middleton single cask. No, I lied. This is my second single cask to try. My first from James Fox's. All right, so on the nose, Middleton are considered the pinnacle of Irish whiskey. Their single casks are put aside, and they are actual outstanding releases of quality, is basically what Midleton Very Rare single cask is. They just have that very special and they're then brought to market as that. So that would kind of dictates a lot of the price point. Being that rare, that expensive, that aged, you know, outstanding quality, it's standing out more than some of the other casks. And they always have a team down there that are looking for casks like this in the warehouse. So get a little nose on it, right? First fill ex-bourbon. To me, this is, you're getting like a lovely kind of sweet chocolatey vibe. A lovely kind of more of a nutty vibe. Spicy oak, cinnamon, nutmeg, that kind of a nose to it. Robust. Yeah, definitely more of a nutty cinnamon, nutmeg, spicy oak. That's what I would kind of put on it. Let's try this. Let's launch it. That comes alive in your palate. Wow, it's oily, it's spicy. There's a bit of chocolate fudginess to it. There's a hint of oak to it. That now even the nuttiness is back even more now, but there's sweet spices. There's a bit of dark fruits kind of happening in it. Plum notes to it. The finish is well balanced with sweetness, woody tannins, chocolate fudge vibe to it. Well balanced. The mouth is well coated in the oiliness from it. Very you know, decadent, very complex, and very, very delicious. That is outstanding. That really is something else to enjoy. That's a different level of, you know, obviously they're two different types of Irish whiskey, single grain and pot still whiskeys. For a 22-year-old whiskey, that's outstanding. Well done. I can see why they picked it. It ticks all the boxes. It is exceptional. And so is the Fercullen. To be fair to both whiskeys, they're both exceptional. You can't really compare them because, look, one is 13-year-old, a single grain, the other one is 22-year-old and a pot still. They, in their own right, are fantastic. Really, really good whiskeys. Really well selected, I would say. It is defining what is Irish whiskey to me, and what is a single grain whiskey and what is a pot still whiskey. So, James Fox's, well done, lads. Take a bow. I know there was a bit of work gone into this. I think it happened over around 18 months or something like that they had to pick these out. And it's not these. The Midleton Very Rare is not being opened here. The single cask is not being opened. The Fercullen 13 obviously is open here in Christie's, but he has a load of. They have a load of single cask releases here in the cabinet for you to come down and even have a gawk at and have a look at. Actually, it leads me on to my next question. Do you guys and girls have a single cask release that you are particularly favorable of? Now, it doesn't have to be Middleton or Fercullen. What's your single cask release that you would rate as your favorite? I have a few myself, not particularly from the Middleton range, although these two are definitely kind of up there, but let me know in the comment section down below. And if you like this video, do please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, all that kind of good stuff. Look, with that in mind, it's been one hell of a year and we're coming up to the new year. So we have lots of things planned for this channel. Moving forward, it's going to be a big kind of deal once we kind of get the wheels in motion and they lift these restrictions a little bit more. We can kind of get out. As I said before, Ireland is kind of going back into its third lockdown now, a third wave of coronavirus. Not ideal, but we will work through and power through. Thanks for joining me through my whiskey experience. As a whiskey enthusiast, it's always nice to be able to try such limited released whiskeys, and thanks to the lads here in Christy's bar who have made that possible by allowing me to come in and sample some of their stuff. The majority, 99.9% of the stuff that I drink here is open and for sale, and once we get the restrictions lifted, hopefully you'll see a few faces in and around here and we sit down, have a dram and talk whiskey. So until that time comes, folks, stay safe. Again, Happy New Year, very happy Christmas, and we'll see you in the next video. Sláinte.